I'm actually feeling nervous. Please! What the f... How? How did he dodge the crit damage? Oh my god, it's so cancer. What is this cancer actually? Hey, what is up guys? Guitar Rock here, welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. Alright, Yanfei, finally, she's completely done, finally fully built in terms of artifacts, in terms of weapons, except for levels, and right now I'm trying to get her talent levels up because for Yanfei to be able to, you know, get her skill level up, she's gonna need this thing, the Blood Jade branch, and so far the boss has only been released for 2 weeks. So let's talk about Yanfei and how you should be building her, ideally for the best damage possible. Alright, we gotta mute her first, I'm sorry. Okay, so before we talk about Yanfei's artifacts, builds, guides, etc, we gotta understand how she works, and a lot of people still don't really know how to utilize Yanfei correctly. So let's jump into the talents, have a quick glance at this main skill right here. Now if you guys are not aware, every time she shoots a fireball, 3 hits, right? It's all pyro damage, she's a catalyst user. So when Yanfei's normal attack hits the enemies, they will grant her a single Scarlet Seal. Alright, so Yanfei may possess a maximum of 3 Scarlet Seals, and each time this effect is triggered, the duration of the currently possessed Scarlet Seals will refresh. So she can have up to 3 maximum Scarlet Seals. But we're going to talk about that, why you shouldn't need to worry about this, because ideally the chaining combo is mostly just 2 attack to 1 charge attack. So what the heck is this Scarlet Seal for, right? This Scarlet Seal is mostly used to decrease your stamina consumption, okay, when you use your charge attack. That's about it. Alright, this will disappear when she leaves the field. So if you swap to another character, all the Scarlet Seals that you gain from your normal attacks and you bam 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 hit the enemy, those will disappear. So therefore, it's quite hard to use Yanfei as a support because the moment you swap her out, her main ability, like her Scarlet Seals, disappear, and this Scarlet Seal improves her charge attacks by a lot. So consume stamina and all Scarlet Seals before dealing AoE pyro damage to opponents after a short casting time. So this charge attacks AoE and damage will increase according to the amount of Scarlet Seals consumed. So if you look right here, charge and attack stamina cost is 50, and 15% per Scarlet Seal will help you to decrease your stamina consumption. It's just crazy. So let me show you guys, if you guys are not aware, when you jump into an opponent, you hit them in their face with your normal skills. Can you guys see this thing right here? 1. Right now I have 3 Scarlet Seals. Right, let's run away. Let's run away. So these 3 things are the Scarlet Seals. The moment I swap to a different character, right? Boom. Swap her back. Boom. She don't have it anymore. It's gone. Disappear. Alright. So those Scarlet Seals are the thing that helps her do a lot of damage through her charge attacks. Her elemental skill is not that strong. I thought this would be her main, strongest kit in terms of making a swap comp like team, but it's actually not. So what she does is she just hits the enemy with AoE pyro damage, and this will grant her the maximum number of Scarlet Seals, which is 3. Alright, at C0 that is. So we're going to talk about Constellation shortly. So if you look at skill damage, right, this is 237% every 9 seconds, and this is at level 6. So compared to someone like Rosaria or Kaya, of course Rosaria has more, almost 300%, because hers is level 8. Damage wise, maybe it's comparable, but Rosaria and Kaya's cooldown is 6 seconds, as opposed to Yanfei's 9 seconds. So if you compare that, I would say this skill, her E skill, is not that impressive. So I wouldn't recommend upgrading this E skill per se, because this thing is still quite limited. In the future, if you have plenty of these things, sure, go ahead. But for now, I would say focus on the normal attack, which is what I've been focusing on, because ideally you want to use Yanfei as a main DPS. So let's talk about the ultimate. Basically, what she does is she will deal AoE pyro damage, and this will give you the max number of Scarlet Seals, again, which is 3 at C0, and applies Brilliance to her. Alright, so what does Brilliance do? So this will give your Yanfei a Scarlet Seal at fixed intervals every few seconds, like it's mentioned right here. Alright, every 1 second you get 1 Scarlet Seal during your Q, and increase the damage dealt by her charge attacks for sure. Here, right here, you can see the bonus is 44%. Increasing your charge attack bonus by 44% is really huge, like it's insane. Alright, so this is what, every time you use Q, don't swap her out. Make sure you use her attacks, charge attacks at least once or twice. Alright, it's very important. And then The effect of Brilliance will obviously end if Yanfei leaves the field or falls in battle. So this is what you want to keep in mind. And also, if you look at these two skills right here, Proviso right here, Yanfei consumes Scarlet Seals by using a charge attack, right? So each Scarlet Seal will actually give your Yanfei a 5% pyro damage bonus. So by default, you should have 3, so that means that it's a 15% pyro damage bonus, and this effect lasts for 6 seconds. And Yanfei's strongest skill, in my opinion, is this one at Ascension 4. Now the Blazing Eye. What makes this skill so unique? And this is why you want to build her towards the crit side as opposed to crit damage. Now this might be more important on Yanfei more than anyone else, because Yanfei's charge attack deals crit to the opponent, so that means every time you crit, she will deal an additional instance of AoE pyro damage equal to 80% of her attack. So her attack, her crit rate are very important. So if you haven't been doing the 1:2 ratio on most of your characters, Yanfei is a very important character to strictly follow that, in my opinion. If you have like 30% crit rate but 200% crit damage, like I feel like you won't be able to benefit from this much. And this is a very cool skill. Like in this battle right here, as you can see, when I hit the opponent, you can see the second instance is the one that appears afterwards. Like that's a big chunk of damage that you're missing out on every time you are not critting. So that means if you can build her, at least give her a 50% crit rate. I would say that's the minimum that I would go for, that I would recommend for most players out there. Now that we understood her skills, so let's jump into her build, what I've been using on her. Weapon wise, I've been using Wit Sieve, and I think this is ideally one of the better weapons out there. Now, if you have Wit Sieve, obviously go for Wit Sieve, but if you do not have Wit Sieve, you could go for Solar Pearl. I do have Solar Pearl, but it's on my Klee right now. I do not intend to swap that away. I do think that Solar Pearl fits Klee way better than Yanfei. And every single one of these is very beneficial to her. Attack percent, she can benefit from it. She can benefit from the pyro damage bonus, the elemental damage. And elemental mastery is gonna be really dependent. I would say elemental mastery is probably the weakest of the 3 buffs if you don't go for reactions. Now let's talk about constellations for a bit. Now if you guys are not familiar, Yanfei's C6 will give her the biggest boost of damage because that will add 1 Scarlet Seal. By default, Yanfei can only have 3, but having C6, that means she has 4 Scarlet Seals. That means she can spam more charge attacks. That means she can do more damage. So C1, in my opinion, do help her a little bit. Okay, when she uses charge attack, each existing Scarlet Seal additionally reduces the stamina cost of this charge attack by 10%. Also help against resistance. C2 does help a bit, of course, so increase Yanfei's charge attack crit rate by 20%, but only against enemies with below 50% HP. So I do think this is an okay constellation to have, but it's very strictly towards lower HP enemies. So ideally in the first half of the battle, you want to use your other characters first. I don't know, it's kind of weird. C4 obviously creates a shield, absorbs 45% of Yanfei's max HP for 15 seconds. And this is a pyro shield, so it supposedly more effectively absorbs pyro damage. So let's talk about artifacts. So the best artifacts for you to go for Yanfei, the best build based on my research so far, have been the Wanderer's Troop. Now, you can either go for Wanderer's Troop 4 pieces, or you can go for 4 Crimson Witch. Now, ideally, both of these are very equal in terms of the damage output wise. I would say just go for whichever that you have better substats on. Alright, at the end of the day, farming artifacts is a pain. Like, it takes years, man. Just go for whichever that you think you have a better substats on. So in my case, I have pretty decent substats on my Wanderer's Troop, and I do have a very good pyro damage bonus goblet right here with 24.1% crit damage bonus, 11.7% energy recharge. This does help her to spam her Q more often since her elemental burst have 80 energy cost. So that's really helpful. Now out of the 4 Wandering Troop pieces, her worst piece would be the Feather. I'm still striving to get better Feather. Look at this roll into the flat defense. Oh my god. This is horrible. This is painful to look at, man. I can't keep looking at this. I did not get any rolls into crit rate or crit damage at all. So this is like just default. It rolled everything into flat defense and energy recharge, which is a bummer. But the Feather though makes up for it. This is the Feather that I have, alright? Defense percent, energy recharge, crit rate percent, and crit damage percent. I'm very happy with this piece for sure. And of course with the Sense of Eon, this one is not the best but not the worst either. Now I've been debating on wanting to use Elemental Mastery Sense of Eon on her because I do have a pretty good one. but because I am running with Sif. If you have too much Elemental Mastery, and with Sif does have a chance to give you the Elemental Mastery boost, right? That's going to have a very huge diminishing return values, especially when I'm running Sucrose as well to try to reduce and give Elemental Mastery sharing. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Ideally, attack percent is still going to be much more beneficial in most scenarios. EM is definitely going to be better if you're running reactions all the time, but how often do you run like the reaction based team, right? It's also going to depend on your team comp and those things. Now, as opposed to the circlet, I am lucky enough to have a crit rate circlet with a decent crit damage boost right here. Some attack percent roll once and flat HP I did roll once right there. So overall, this is the build that I have on my Yanfei. Definitely very helpful. Wanderer's Troop, you do get 80 Elemental Mastery for 2 piece again. And yeah, if you don't have this piece, it's fine, you can go for the Crimson Witch instead. So something like this would definitely help her greatly as well in terms of doing damage and help her with her reaction damage. So like I mentioned, go for whichever that you have a better substats on. So you want to try to look at the substats, and if you have like all the good ones, you know, don't build anything with flat defense, flat attack. Those are just plain bad. Alright, in terms of team composition, there's a lot of various strategies that you can use alongside with Yanfei. So I do think that giving Yanfei a shield is going to be really crucial at the beginning of your stage of playing her, because she occasionally might run out of stamina if you're not careful, and having the extra shield means that she has to dodge less. So something like Zhongli, something like Diona, something like Noelle, these are going to help her immensely. And in terms of the combo, I feel like Reverse Melt or even something like Fischl can be quite strong. So far I've tested, she doesn't struggle with overload as much, and in most characters' case, they have to chase after the enemies when the enemies are overloaded. But in Yanfei's case, she was able to shoot them from a distance away, regardless of, you know, how far the enemies fly away, because the range, her range is just insane. She can snipe enemies from so far away. Like, it's something that's invaluable that no other Pyro characters have yet thus far. So it's something that you want to take advantage of for sure. Now, Rosaria and Kaeya, in my opinion, these are going to be very strong supports for her. If you have Rosaria, if you have Kaeya, the damage that they can do together is insane. Like, occasionally you will just see the melt of like 10k, 20k. It's just a lot of damage. And Fischl is going to be decent if you're trying to go overload. Also, maybe Beidou occasionally, if your Beidou is at least C2. Alright, you can swap to Beidou, use ultimate, and just shoot away with your Yanfei, so you can get as much overload damage as you can. Now, overload is still a bit wonky right now, and in the recent developers notes, they will try to rework overload. So we'll wait and see if that's gonna hopefully help boost Yanfei as well. So I can't wait to see that happen. Alright guys, so with that being said, that is going to be it for this Yanfei's video. Hope you find this helpful, and as always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.